closed session, and we have nothing to report out of that closed session. And let's do the pledge of allegiance. That one, lead us in the prayer.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Director Hetherington? Here. Director Horvath?
Here.
Director Odette?
Here.
Director Rolfe? Here. And Director Diamond?
Here. Okay, we also have a special order of business tonight because it is our board mate and friend Kat Rolfe's birthday tomorrow. So we have cake over there, which we can get at the break, but I just wanted to say happy birthday to Kat for all of this.
Happy birthday, Kat. Happy 29th.
Right. Do we have any modifications of the agenda? No modifications. Do we have any public comment? Come on up to the podium, state your name if you would like to, and you will have 3 minutes.
Legally and formally, I'm David Love. Actually here to talk, been a long-term friend of the General Bud Anderson family, wearing his shirt in honor tonight. I got a call from his son a couple days ago. A group of us put together a fundraising program, and we have a life-size statue of General Anderson with a scale P-51 above his head, sitting on the airport in Auburn next to the Wings Cafe. And we found out that the architect of it and the sculptor still has all the molds. And he's a former White House sculptor. I'm internationally known. So I was talking to his son Jim and said, would you have any use for this? And so Jim called me and I said, well, I happen to be going to the board in Truckee and I can't think of a better place. So I'm asking you if you would consider allowing us, if we got this all put together, we're not asking for money. I would consider maybe on the grass out here, size of a human being with a small airplane above it. General Anderson's had a home here since 1956, his family has, was our Grand Marshal for like 15 different times for our air show. Some of you probably saw him when he was our speaker here and those kind of things. So all I'm asking, I'm throwing this out, is think about it. If you would like to take it further, I'd be happy to work with Rob and Jeff and others and put together a proposal. Again, I'm not asking for money, but I'm asking for permission to potentially actually put this eventually. We'd have a ceremony and all kinds of cool stuff if it came to be. That's it. That's simple.
Thank you, David.
Hello, my name is Ron Hess. Thank you very much for the time, and I just want to report back on a couple of things that are happening at the Truckee Tahoe Soaring. One, I want to thank the management for getting us set up with the infrastructure, especially Vince, who did a lot of work putting the building back in there and getting our electricity and water all set up and running. So we're up and running. Thank you very much. Also want to report that we did install an ADS-B transponder on our white tail plane, so it is now visible in the tower, and that's a big success. So thank you again for your reminding me how important that is to the airport and airport safety. And also we're planning an upcoming Fly Safe clinic with David Van Quest. So thanks to David and the staff there for their help getting that organized. That'll be coming up in the next month or two. So thank you very much. Also I have a couple of our youth staff, and they would like to have a moment. Is it appropriate to have minors speak at the
Yeah, anyone can make a public comment, including minors. Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name's Ethan Gallagher. I'm a member of the Youth STEM program part of Truckee Tahoe Soaring Association. So just this past Saturday, I achieved my private pilot glider license. Thanks to the members of the Truckee Tahoe Soaring Association and the access to those nice gliders. So this program has taught me far more than how to fly. It's given me the confidence, responsibility, and purpose to achieve my goal of flying gliders and beyond and becoming a more mature person. It also helped me discover my goal of joining the U.S. Air Force, and it showed me that I have what it takes to actually achieve that. And I'm just one example. TTSA has launched many students into meaningful careers. Some now serve as military pilots, commercial pilot captains, and all of these young leaders got their start here at Truckee. TTSA doesn't just train pilots, it shapes character. It builds discipline, leadership, and resilience. It turns students into impactful Americans. Your continued support makes that possible. When you invest in TTSA, you're not just supporting aviation, you're helping young people take flight in every part of their lives. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Ethan.
Hi, my name is Amelia Allen, and I'm also part of the STEM program. And I'm only 13, so I can't even solo yet, but I already know that thanks to this program, I know that I want to do something with aviation. This program has helped me so much. It has taught me determination and good work ethic. It's a great program, and I know it's teaching a lot of other people the same thing. The community at TTSA is amazing. You learn so much and you meet so many great people. I've never been in a community like this before, and I love this program so much, and it's taught me a lot. Thank you.
Thanks, Amelia. Do we have any more public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment and move on to the consent agenda. Would anybody on the board like to pull an item from consent? Anybody from staff? Anybody from the public? Do we have a motion on consent?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Well, let's move on to our first action item. Placer County LAFCO Special District Alternate Representative election. Did you have anything you wanted to say to this, or we just?
I don't have anything further than what's presented as options for the board to consider for the election. That's on the screen right here.
Okay. Did we nominated Scott Wilson, I think, in our last meeting. Does the board feel that we want to support Scott Wilson, or is there another candidate that we would prefer?
Scott's great. Thank you, Scott.
Consistency.
Okay. Do I have a motion to vote for Scott?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Great. Tab 4, the approval of the TTAD strategic plan. Who wants to take that?
I will. Rob Ettenauer, General Manager. Thank you, President Diamond. In the staff report, you have just a brief introduction of the culmination of 4 workshops on updating our strategic plan. There is a draft updated strategic plan in your supporting documents, along with a draft work plan. I think the first part for the board to consider at this point is whether or not the draft strategic plan update, other than the font changes that are necessary to finalize it, if there's further discussion or consideration with the work that's been done to date, so we can finalize that. And then separately, we could talk about the staff's plan to achieve those in the work plan, or attachment A, it's called in the strategic plan.
All right. Thank you. Do we have clarifying questions? Kat, do you want to go?
I don't have a clarifying question, it's just to point out that the president and the vice president are misassigned.
Teresa, any questions? Greg, any questions?
No questions.
Mary, any questions?
I was just checking one thing here too. No questions.
You would do that, right? I'm not putting cookie in my mouth. Do we have any public comment?
I have some comments.
Okay. We'll open board deliberations with Mary.
Just in terms of the 2D5,
the contract for the tower is coming up in '27, isn't it? And does future mean every time that the tower contract comes up, you've checked it to happen for future? But should it not be something that we, opportunities for the flight procedures and contract tower renewal, shouldn't that be, we're going to be looking at that? There's kind of two parts to that. And I think there should be an X in the 27, because that contract renewal, that's when it comes up. Just adding that X there.
Yeah, that's a fair statement. In our work plan, Mary's referring to under the contract tower is just probably the year prior even to begin looking at that to make sure we're looking at the considerations associated with renewal or options or those kind of things. So yes, I'm happy to make that modification.
Yeah, that one. Thank you. And then the other one would be in terms of under 3C, 2A, continue to find new ways to emphasize use of runway 02 for departures. And we added in and remember Reno. But it seems to me and remember Reno would be more under 3A, 2B, pilot engage, create a new one, pilot engagement, systemize outreach to regular pilots or to pilots to remember Reno, to just be adding that in. Because it seems more of a communication thing than a recognize thing. Those would be my only two comments.
Good feedback. Happy to make that adjustment too.
Overall, I think this is just really awesome. The specificity that you have put in for the extra levels is very helpful in terms of, it's great. It has a real plan of action in it. Thank you.
Greg, what do you think?
We put a lot of time into this, Rob especially. I'm excited about it. Yeah, the whole team. Thank you.
Teresa?
No comments?
Kat? Okay, do we have any public comment on the strategic plan? No public comment. Okay, do we have a motion? Now, what we're doing here, there's two things. One is we're accepting the draft of this. We're recognizing the strategic work plan as a living document, so that's not set in stone at this point in time. And then the last thing that I wanted to make sure with the board, just to clarify, is that we feel that we don't need another workshop on this. Are we in agreement on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yep.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve this?
Okay.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Just clarification, that's as amended.
What?
You're approving
Motion to approve.
The amendments were in the work plan, not in the actual strategic plan.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
So we should-
Apologies.
Other than the president, vice president part of it, right?
Right.
So as amended?
No,
Yeah.
no, we're good.
Okay, yeah.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, let's move on to tab 5, the Truckee Tahoe Air Show and Family Festival 2026 options. Who starts that one?
Yeah, I'll introduce that as well. We have a staff report based on feedback of the board of directors. And thank you all for coming. Appreciate that. Yeah. We have some further consideration. We had a discussion last board meeting talking about the air show for 2026. Both Dave Love and I presented on that. Based on that feedback, I've tried to pull together that feedback into the staff report and have some further recommendations as we think about the air show for 2026. And so there's some items in there for your consideration with regard to potentially forming a board committee, essentially, to think about the air show and the formation of the air show and what that looks like in the future. And then some direction, perhaps, if the board does consider forming an air show, and there's 1A through G recommendation of who might be on that committee for an air show. Just a recommendation at this point. And then there's some number 2, 3, 4 in the staff report. There's some recommendations of guidance to consider from the board of directors to provide guidance to that committee if it is formed. And I'll leave it at that.
Clarifying questions, Greg?
No clarifying questions.
Kat?
when you were putting this framework together for a possible committee, were there any conversations with EAA folks or Civil Air Patrol folks or existing air show?
Not yet, no.
So this was,
This is a staff recommendation.
okay.
Right. I believe I thought Dave was actually at the air show in Oshkosh. I didn't think he was here, so I was mistaken that I thought he was out of town.
Yeah, so I guess, well, this isn't a question, so I guess I'll wait for a comment. Okay.
Teresa, questions?
Similar to the question she's not asking her. We should involve the existing committee or leadership of this to comment on this as well, before we just decide unilaterally. That's not a question. I'll hold it.
Mary, questions?
No questions.
Do we have any public comment on this?
Apologize for the miscommunication with Rob. I do leave in 2 days for a month to Wisconsin. And I appreciate Teresa's comment. Just quick overview. We have 14 committees that put on the air show that make up the big committee. Persons who take care of the performers, who take care of the FAA regulations, who take care of the VIP tent, who take care of the kids zone stuff for kids. And each of those have a committee chairman. And he or she has anywhere from 3 to 15 years experience doing it. So the only thing I put out is a word of caution. If you want to do an air show next summer, can't sit around too long deciding A or B, because my committee people start usually now, starting putting basic things together, start making calls, or I do, and otherwise can't get performers, can't get air bosses, can't get all of those things, because it's a competitive world and these people make a living at doing this stuff and they'll take other jobs. So we are here to consult with you and with Rob. I'm not available this next month, but he has my phone number. So we certainly can talk. But I would make a strong recommendation by the end of August or early September, either say, let's go ahead in this format or let's pass on it. Otherwise, I'm not sure we could do the job professionally, safely, effectively with a limited number of months to do it. The only way I come even close is I got all these people who've done it like multiple years, so they know how to do it. If I have to train new people added to the mix. We've been very lucky on the number of people from Optimist Club, Kids Zone, EAA, Civil Air Patrol. They give us 400 people. Not all of them work every month, but when you come out here that weekend, we're all here. You've been there, most of you. So that's my only recommendation, is that as you move forward. I read Rob's stuff, so and in the future, if you have questions of me, I'm available, obviously. And anything we can do, we just need some guidance in the near future, not the far future. Thanks, all of you. Any questions of me? Thank you.
Thank you, David. Do we have any more public comment on the air show? Seeing no public comment on the air show, close public comment and open deliberations. Teresa, what are you thinking?
Well, you were first. You go first.
You don't want to go first?
Nope.
Kat, do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
So I like this concept. I guess my feeling is it's only going to be successful if everyone buys into this and is enthusiastic about it, really. Which is why I asked if there were any conversations leading up to it. And, thank you, David, for your input as well. I have real concerns that this can come together and come up with something by September board meeting, which is what the goal is, it looks like. This to me seems like something that could take quite a bit of time, maybe for the 27 air show, to do it well. So I feel like, we're kind of rushing things here. my understanding from the last board meeting, and I went back and watched it, was that the decision we're making today is just to, well, not just, but one of the decisions we need to make today is, are we going to have the 26 air show look like what it has always looked like? Or are we going to try to change things? And I just as a courtesy to David and his team, because I don't want to kick the can down the road anymore. So that's how I feel about it.
I'm not clear on what you're saying. Are you saying we should do this committee, or we should do that, put it in
I
place for
think
27?
that this is a whole, this is something that we didn't really discuss the last time. And the one decision, and it's, that I took away and went back and watched it to make sure that's what I was taking away, is our job today is to make a yes or no decision on having the air show next year look exactly like it's looked before, with no revision. So yes or no. And then moving forward, you know, I like this idea. I'm just concerned that it's all going to come together. I mean, we had 20 different options for a doodle poll, and the 5 of us couldn't agree to get together. So it concerns me that it would be hard to convene this committee enough times before September to come up with a budget and a plan and that sort of thing.
Teresa, do you want to continue on?
I'm going to say that's exactly right. I don't think that, let's say it was you and I, David, who are the board members. I don't know how to run an air show. I couldn't pull that together. You know, we'd be leaning on the existing people anyway. So I'm kind of in favor of doing 26 as we've always done it, but still putting this in place now for 27 and moving forward. And then these people can learn this year from the existing team.
Okay. Mary, what are you thinking?
I have quite a few comments. One is, in last month's board book, there was the 2024 air show budget. We don't have a budget for 2026, so we say go do it, but we don't know how much money we're even thinking of. And it seems not adequate to say, yes, let's just do it, since we don't have an idea of the budget. We know historically it runs about $280,000 in outgoing costs that then our people have to monitor and send checks out, and there's probably $100,000 to $150,000 in staff time that is used to do this. I'm very curious in the idea of contacting Schultz and having an actual proposal. I'd like to see a proposal from the committee and a proposal from Schultz to say, so I can weigh this, you know, which is where am I getting the best bang for the buck? Because from what I understand, Schultz has said they can pull it together for next year. And I'd like to have a comparative, show me a budget, David, show me a budget from Schultz, and let's see where we are with that. Given that, this is last year's air show, given that, I have other comments about the air show in general and my concerns with it. And I've written them down so that I can keep my head in straight. One, I have a very big concern with the air show and safety, and I brought this up every year. I did some research on accidents at air shows, and there have been 70 accidents with 74 deaths over the last 10 years. One could argue that that is a low percentage, but even one is too many in my mind when it is preventable. There's a NASA report about as safe as reasonably practicable. It reflects a mindset that values safety improvements regardless of the current level of safety. How could we improve the safety of this event? With professional management. I'm concerned about fire. What if an accident starts a fire? Who's responsible? What if it spreads? Has the volunteer group developed an evacuation plan for the surrounding neighborhoods if it's needed? I'm concerned about inspiring kids. We talk about this as an inspiration for kids. What if an accident happens in front of the audience? What happens if an accident injures some spectators? A Leapfrog's parachuter died in 2017 when his parachute malfunctioned. We had them performing here last year. And what effect or inspiration does such a horrible accident have on kids? That is, in my mind, as a balancing to this whole issue. I'm concerned with the greenhouse gases. A one-day event has a net increase of 150 metric tons based on a 2021 study. We are using SAF as an offset for greenhouse gas to lower it, but then how does that compare? My biggest concern is potential litigation. Our responsibility as board members is to protect the airport's assets. Organizers and promoters are at risk. That is us. The EAA, Optimus, and Kid Zone do not have high insurance coverage. Airport has $50 million coverage on our projects, and the rider has a specific airshow rider at $10 million. Is that enough? The family of a pilot was killed in the Dallas Air Show filed a lawsuit against the show organizers to ensure safety for all pilots. That's us. We have had several off-field fatal accidents. These were regular aeronautical and not extreme flight operations. Air shows lend themselves to pushing aircraft and operator abilities, which in turn have a higher risk both to the pilots and to the spectators. We have personal liability as board members. We need to remember that we can be named as individuals. Our district council has told us that the airport would financially defend us, but our names would always be attached to these types of claims. Can you think, and even if the airport is not at fault, we will spend many dollars in legal fees defending the airport, money that won't be available for infrastructure or for our strategic initiatives. Can you think of another agency, public agency with public dollars who are creating and supervising and responsible for such a risky event? I cannot. There are other options. Let's charter buses to the Beale Air Force Base or the Capitol Air Shows, which are professionally organized and operated. This would cost less than the $250,000 and not require over $100 to $150,000 of staff time and effort. We could do a static air show concurrent with the Roundhouse market space that we just did last month. We can spend more on the STEAM classes that we're trying to develop. We're getting involved in getting a trailer and operating, and thank you for Mission to Mars. Let's do more of it. That is an inspiration to kids. As mentioned at the last meeting, some folks like the big, noisy, maybe military overflights. Could we arrange for those to happen on the 4th of July? Parade. I was there, and there were some helicopters, and everybody loved that. And it gets to a broad range of people. There are so many family events in the region, none of which have the risk that the air show poses. Music in the park, at Commons Beach, in Truckee, farmers markets. How about hosting a fun run and bike ride on the airfield? Truckee was a small town, and it was organized. This air show has gone through many lives. But the Truckee's not a short, small town anymore. I've been a volunteer in many operations. It's getting harder to get volunteers and to have them committed. Having volunteer groups involved is a wonderful team-building opportunity, but Truckee has changed. We've outgrown this volunteer component, financially, legally, personnel, and safety-wise. If the consensus of this board is to have an air show, then we should have it professionally organized by an entity that has experience. They can contract with the local volunteer base, but we are offloading the airport's risk and inexperience. As mentioned by David Love last month, all air shows in the United States are professionally managed now, except for Oshkosh, and there's a reason for that. So that's my thoughts on the air show.
Greg, you want to follow that up?
I would love to. Well, actually, do you want to go next? I'm happy to go next or go after you.
I'm happy to go now if you
Why don't
like.
you go next?
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Mary. That was detailed. That was, yeah.
what I
yeah,
do.
the-
On brand.
Right, totally on brand. On this concept of this alternate kind of a committee, I also think it's an interesting concept. I wouldn't necessarily keep the community member to aviation community member, because I do feel like members of the general community are interested in the air show aspect of this. I share with the liability concern that has concerned me for a number of years each time we look at this thing, because we've been lucky so far. Maybe partially because we've got good people doing this. I'm also concerned about the financial aspect, that we would look at spending $300,000 to $350,000, including staff time, for a one-day event that we call STEAM, but is really entertainment. And then what is actually STEAM, we've only allocated $100,000 for an entire year. That concerns me, because I feel like if we do have this commitment to inspiring kids and STEAM education and all that stuff, this seems a little bit lopsided to me in terms of where we would put money on that. So that is a concern for me as well. And I do, I would support the notion of like right now, we're not saying, to address what Mary had said, we're not saying, yes, go do an air show at any expense. We're asking them to come back with a plan. So I would also support that notion of having a bid or proposal from the Schultz company, and then also a proposal from our current air show committee, which would include how much this is going to cost and what each would require of staff time in this, just so that we could come back one more time and actually make an informed decision after seeing budgets and proposals and financially where we would stand on all this. That's where I'm at. What do you think, Greg?
I'm frustrated by this. I feel like we had some clarity after the last meeting, and we're stuck now, and we are at risk of effectively not making a decision just by delaying long enough to not make a decision. I think we have notes. Lauren, could you scroll up to page 2, or the bottom of page 2 right there? Right, like we debated this at the last meeting. We made a group decision that, number one, we would like, I know there wasn't consensus, but there was majority. So we made some decisions. I think where we're getting a little lost is Kat, my memory was that Rob was going to put together an option alternative to having the existing air show just be repeated in its current form. So we may have had a different memory there. I do agree that ideally David and other stakeholders would have been consulted before putting together kind of what's put before us right now. So yeah, I feel like we had some clarity, and now that clarity is obscured, and we're at risk of just kind of missing our opportunity here, because we're like, I share a lot of Mary's concerns, and like those are the same concerns we heard and debated at the last meeting, and now we're having the same debate again. So that's a little frustrating. I think my biggest concerns around the air show are safety. I also did some research. It's really hard to get good data on this, but it does seem to me to be pretty clear that incident rates are elevated. Incidents per operation are elevated for air shows over standard aviation operations. I think that's a really strong argument to bring in a professional organization to do that, to mitigate that risk. I don't think that the safety and fire risks are enough to fully block an air show from happening. Those are baseline risks that exist because we are an airport every single day. But it is worth acknowledging that we as a board decide that we are either okay or not okay with those elevated fire and safety risks by putting on such an event. And I do think we should a bit more formally acknowledge that if we do decide to have an event next year. So I went into this meeting expecting to basically vote yes on approval for likely bringing in a professional contractor to run this. And now I feel like that decision maker matrix is being shifted, and now I'm being asked to decide between not doing it or only doing it the way that it was done previously.
That's not true. We don't have a motion on the table, so the
For sure,
motion
but
can
just
guide
the
this.
dialogue, right? So those are all the things that I'm chewing on. I guess to respond to a couple smaller things, just some notes here. Mary, I chatted with Rob last week. Apparently, the greenhouse gas emissions are likely actually a reduction.
No, that study in 2021 takes it into account.
Even compared to whatever the baseline operations for the day were.
61 versus 10 baseline.
All right.
I have it right here. I have the study and baseline.
I'll take a look.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough. The data will be the data. David, I think on, budget for single day landmark events versus ongoing STEAM education, that's just, everybody's going to have different point of views on that one. You can make the case in both directions. I personally think there's a lot of value to landmark inspirational events. And that's the reason why I've been in favor of the air show. I'm curious, Rob, we've been discussing, are you intending to, we've said a lot.
Yeah. It's good, great feedback, yeah.
Do you have anything you want to add at this point?
Sure, if that's all right, Dave?
Go for it.
Yeah. The primary reason I haven't coordinated with the Air Show Committee, because other than Dave Love, I don't know who the Air Show Committee is. I don't know when the last time they met is. I don't know how they're formulated. They've made no presentation to the board or to staff about what the plan is for next year, other than they have a date in mind. So I don't know what that entity is. As I mentioned before, it's not actually an entity. It's a group of people that are pulled together when they start having meetings. I don't know what that budget is for next year. I don't know what the makeup of the returning members that have experience are going to be for next year. I know we've had a lot of folks that are aging out and moved away that perhaps anecdotally have told me they're not participating anymore. I'm concerned about who is that entity that represents the Air Show Committee for next year. I would love to know that. I think the board should know that, and that should be a formal presentation to the board of what the plan is for next year, who's involved, what their experience is, what the planned budget is, and then what the board's expectation is for the air show as well. I think that all needs to happen. None of that has happened. And traditionally, that's never happened. It's just a approval for the air show without any detailed budget or direction for oversight or ownership of it from a board perspective. So I think I'm recommending there should be a stronger sense of that. Certainly my experience in work with the air show for 2 air shows now has been a very positive group of folks that come together on a volunteer basis that are very dedicated to putting on a fun, great air show. And there's a lot of involvement, a lot of volunteer time that has come together, and it certainly has been doing that way for years. I also know that for any component of change associated with the air show has been very difficult, even at the fundamental minor level. Introducing a free ticketed event where we can track participation to get some idea of what the true value is to the customer, who is actually showing up. Just doing that was very difficult with the committee. Disposing of plastic water bottles for the event and having non-plastic water bottles for the event was a fight the entire time last time, even to the point where they still were not disposed of for the air show. So these are just little things, but it would be great if I got very strong direction from the board about what your expectation is for the air show for next year. I think we can put it on, absolutely. I think the date that's been selected and recommended is great. I have contacted and had discussions with the Schultz Air Show folks that are a professional management company that do air shows for a living. They have a whole team of people, of professionals that do every component from TFRs to air boss to announcers to operation flight line folks, and that's what they do all the time. Air show to air show to air show all across the country. And I appreciate we have a lot of great volunteers, a lot of great experience that come together that have done a very good job in past years. I just don't know what that looks like from a volunteer's perspective next year. And I think we are all owed that discussion and acceptance of that if that's going to be our approach. At the same time, I think a due diligence would lead us to believe that we should be getting a professional management quote from a firm that has a right, according to all our rules, to bid on this as a public event, as part of our normal contracting process. And we should consider that. So that's a couple areas of feedback. Greg, if that makes sense, board. I think there is time. I think there's plenty of time ahead. There's no, from my understanding, there's no detailed plan for the air show for next year other than picking the date and some outreach to who potentially could be a couple of the key members of the team for the air show committee in the way of an air boss or an announcer, two critical people for the event. But there are a lot of critical roles for the event. I think there's time still, and I think we could bring back proposals. I would suggest if the air show, the way it's currently formulated, that entity can come back with a proposal to the board of what they are suggesting the air show looks like next year, with all the details of who's involved, what the costs are, the timelines, the expectation of staff for support. I would love to see that all in advance instead of kind of picking it up along the way. And at the same time, I could bring a proposal from a professional organization that has shown great interest in bidding on this project from an air show perspective, not from a family festival perspective. That would still be something that we'd have to work with volunteers across the community to pull together.
So given that we don't have a budget right now, we're not being asked definitely do it or not. We're being asked if what we want next month, presumably to make a decision, what information we need from that. So is there board support or concern for having the two proposals from the air show committee and then from the professional organization, and then just making that decision next month when we've got the actual numbers before us?
I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, his motion, the 3 sub-lines to have a comparative budget, I mentioned that, and to consider charging for parking for non-locals. I mean, I went to the makerspace and I had to pay for parking.
Parking was free for that. You
No.
had to pay to get in. I parked for free. I paid to get in.
Right.
It was a different pricing if you, yeah, there were it was two-tier pricing, whatever. But you.
Yeah, I didn't pay. I mean, we just parked
Oh, okay.
right out front.
So,
But
but,
I'm not saying we shouldn't look at that.
right. That's why I'm looking at
But-
these points here.
Right, but we're not going to work these things out in time for 26. I think these are all really good conversations, and
Why don't you think we can do it by 26? If we have a professional company that's interested in doing it, why couldn't they, as part of their proposal, they
Sure.
could help us to figure out if we
I
can do that?
absolutely agree with that, but making the decision to have parking or no parking is another meeting, right? I feel there's a lot to suss out here. Like, I didn't realize until David just said there are 14, what'd you say, 14 different committees? Which of those should remain? You know, the Family Fun Festival, for instance. The people who are working on that, do we keep them in place? Which of the ones could be replaced by a professional? I mean, it's just, there's a lot to look at here. And I'm not at all opposed to having a professional come in and do it.
Which is, I think what is in here is like, for
Right.
next month, we would have a professional budget.
Right.
And we could have a budget from the existing
Right.
situation. And
Well,
we
I will
can- we
point
can
out-
then- And we could then have a sense of what is covered in both circumstances.
Right.
But, you know, the budget that we have historically received, and this was what was handed out last month, was this, with very little detail. I mean, and I think that if you're going to put this much money at risk, and whereas it could be done with other STEAM events, right? And if you're going to incur the staff time it's been huge. It's been huge for years. You know this too. That we should have those numbers and that commitment lined out. So we are more clear than just, oh yeah, that's good, which just feels like that's how it's been done. And, yeah.
It sounds to me that there is board consensus to have an air show next year.
Same as it was last meeting.
I think what's on the question here, and if somebody has a motion in this regard, is what do we want to see next month to approve it? Do you want to see?
Can I interrupt you on that?
Well, let me finish my thought, and then you can interrupt me when I'm done. Do we want to see a budget from the current air show committee and their plan for this, plus the professional? Or do we just want to see one or the other? And now you may interrupt me, because I'm done.
Well, I feel like the two of the biggest advocates for this, or two large advocates, we'll say, Kat, David, there's concern here around kicking the can down the road further. So I'm concerned about, all right, well, next meeting, ... I sort of see there's 5, well, there's probably a lot more, but I'm seeing 5 options. 1, no air show. 2, repeat the previous air show. 3, new air show with air show committee as suggested. Option 4, new air show with air show committee amended based on our discussion. And then option 5 is new air show with no committee and directed by staff.
And hired, like hiring someone, is that what?
Yeah, I mean, all the last 3 options are all hiring a professional organization to run the air show. And I'm also aware of Kat has concerns around the committee, or at least doing it in this timeline. I share some of those concerns. I don't know, do we have the ability to bring David back up for comment and get a key stakeholders' feedback on? I mean, yes, ideally we would have had that conversation 2 weeks ago, but here we are. I would like to try and make a decision on this today.
You'd like
It may
to make
not
a
be
decision
possible.
without seeing finances, budgets?
Potentially.
Or get a professional budget.
Well, as far as I understand, we are getting a quote from, we're getting some numbers this week.
Hopefully, yeah.
But if you're.
Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, just a couple of process points. So first, to answer your question, Director Horvath, absolutely, the board can always invite someone back up. It doesn't reopen public comment. It's just you asking for input,
Okay.
just like you asked from staff.
Yeah.
The one thing on process, it is not agendized for approval of a 2026 air show this evening, so we wouldn't be able to vote on an approval if there was consensus on an approach. But there could be direction to bring an item back as soon as August for that sort of approval.
Yeah, I mean, I guess clarity on next steps, even if it's not a formal budgetary approval, right? We could give ourselves the option to approve it financially, but if it's within bounds or within expectations. So I would love to hear David's thoughts on this suggestion. Yeah.
I want to go again before we bring David back.
Go for it.
4 points after listening to all of your comments, which I agree with almost all of them universally, but we still have to narrow it down. No amount of insurance will keep us off the hook. professional management could have $100 million of insurance and we'll still be named. Period, end of story. That's just how it's gonna go. Next one,
Wait, and can I respond to that? Or,
it's just a comment, but sure.
yeah, but, yeah, we would be named, but having them have 100 million protects us a lot more than nothing. Because that's what we have, is nothing. A $10 million rider, that's all we have. Okay, I'm just,
In my experience with the lawsuits, they go for whatever your max limit is.
yeah,
So our 50 plus that 100.
and,
It's
and,
like not gonna stop it.
and that's.
Anyway, that was just one of my comments.
Okay.
Next one, I personally, having grown up here, prefer a community event, and we're talking about becoming a commercial event. And that is emotionally disturbing to me. It's not an intellectual decision, it's just so many things are subbed out these days to professional management, and so I don't love that. As far as the budget, as long as I've been doing this, it's been relatively consistent, the air show budget. There haven't been any massive surprises. 250-ish. I don't know if you guys have any argument there, but it's never been like, oh, this year it's gonna be 325. I've not seen that. And lastly, staff has been doing this as long as I've been on the board. It's not anything new. Our staffing levels have been consistent, and this has always been part of the job. So those are my 4 comments before we bring David back up for that, but those are the things that I consider. This is not a new thing we're trying to do. That's it.
Anything more to add to that, Kat? All right, let's reopen public comment. Would anybody like to make a public comment?
David.
President Diamond, it's your discretion to reopen public comment.
I'm
Alternatively,
reopening it, I understand.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm reopening public comment.
All
Come on,
public
David.
comment, okay.
Teresa actually triggered me most in thinking about this. You made a good comment. As long as I've been involved, I work with Oshkosh, Wisconsin's air shows multiple years, largest civilian air show in the world. This year, 850,000 people will attend by count each day in the door. That's a professional air show. We never thought we were a professional air show. That's why it's air show and family festival. So 50% of our budget, 50% of the activities, 50% of the volunteers, you've been there, is for kids' activities. We paint faces and we do this, and we got about 10 vendors out there, all kinds of stuff. You can argue about the fact that I've got World War II airplanes on the field. Now, is that an air show, or is that a historical event in education and information about World War II, honoring our veterans? We always viewed it as an educational event. It's cool that they're flying around, but you don't get to see that very often in your life. We had all the kids out here when the leapfrogs were here. That was a kids program for school kids. So we view ourselves as a family festival with an air show component to it. I would make a suggestion. I'm a professional writer of grants, so it's what I do in part of my business. The company does this all the time that you're talking to. They've got a gee whiz developed over X years, very comprehensive, slick, clear, well thought out proposal for you. Absolutely. That's a professional company doing a professional air show. I volunteered in Sacramento. I volunteered when I was in the Air Force at air shows. I would make a recommendation. I would have Rob and you look at their proposal. How does it feel? Is it what you want to do? Is it that kind of event? We are not a group to put on a professional, huge, complicated air show. We've got all kinds of contacts and people and volunteers and community members who've been doing it forever, and they're really committed to it. Our air boss has been here for 10 years. All of those folks most of our performers cut their rates in half for us because they're friends and they're people we've worked with. Anna and Vicki Benzing and all those folks. They don't They get paid a lot different when they go someplace other than Truckee. They like it. They like to come here. We treat them very nice. This is a cool thing to do for a day. So, again, I would suggest you look at the professional thing and say, does this feel comfortable for me? For Mary, when it comes to liability. For Teresa, when it comes to, is this a community thing, or are we moving on to something very different in life? We're a community group. It would take me probably 40, 50 hours to write up a package proposal that even stands next to the one they have in their pocket that they do all kinds of places all over the United States. So if you understand, am I capable? Yes. Am I capable by the end of August? Not in any way. Plus, I'm leaving in 2 weeks to disappear into the woods for a whole month anyway. But that's where I would suggest you at least think about. And if that feels comfortable, that's a whole new direction for you, and I fully understand that, and we do as a committee. If you want to have what we did last year, I can do what we did last year for maybe 10% more in cost. Rob is the only one that knows about how much time and staff and energy this district needs to put into it. All I can tell you is they've been very helpful, they're very good, they're very professional, we work as a team. It's always been a joint effort that's always felt handshake relationship between the district and all of our volunteers. But it's a community thing. It's not a professional air show, it's a community thing. So if you want to go that way, cool. If you want the community thing, I can do it for 10% more. I don't know what Rob's going to cost in his end of the stuff. I'm only talking about the budget. Got a $300,000 budget, I can tell you right now I can put it on. Like we did, with the same base volunteers, with the same committees, with the same goals, with the same feel and the same look, the same liabilities we had last year and 10 years ago and 15 years ago. Can an airplane crash? Yes, Mary, it can. I'm a professional pilot most of my life. Doesn't matter. There's always risk. Do you want it? Does that make sense? Any question? I'm happy to answer a specific.
Do we have any clarifying questions for David?
What are your, Mayor?
Yeah, go for it.
What are your thoughts on the subcommittee as presented here?
If you start all over again in any shape, form, or manner, it would be really hard for us to restructure, reform. You know, I can call up my 10 people and say, do you want to run the ramp next year? I can tell you that probably 85% will say, do you want to help me file all the FAA paperwork? Hey guys, you get me 20 EMTs and 2 docs we have a medical team of 25 people that come here for the whole air show. You've been there, you've seen it. They're all volunteers. The docs are volunteers, the EMTs are volunteers, the nurses are volunteers, but they like doing it. So I know who my resources are. And do I have to probably change 2 or 3 because they're out of the area, they don't want to do it anymore? Yeah. But I can't conceive of, for next summer, taking a whole new group of human beings and trying to form a functional, effective group of people to do the complicated nature of what it is putting all of these hundreds of pieces. There's hundreds of pieces to this thing,
yeah.
But I don't do hundreds. I got 20 people and they each do 10.
Yeah.
I'm a committee chairman. I don't run this air show. I manage people.
So in a situation where we were to contract this out to a professional firm, if you and one other key stakeholder were brought in to be on a subcommittee that managed the overall vision of what that air show was, but executed by this other organization, would that feel meaningful for you to participate in that board, or would it feel like a token?
It's a token. I mean, when I go to Oshkosh, I work at Teachers Day, and I speak there, and I work with a team of volunteers for a kids program and education. That's my shtick. But I'm a little bitty cog in a huge, well-run, professional, highly experienced professional operation, even though there's a lot of volunteers there. No, I would think, for me, I was here because I really liked the people I work with, got to know great people, loved working with the people at the airport district, loved the kids, loved going all to the service groups, telling about all this great thing during the, it was just fun. The minute it stops being fun, I'd say, you want to pay me $25,000, I'd be happy to join the professional team. Then it's not fun, I take a job. So I'm saying there's a point in time in which the kind of the excitement and the fun and the camaraderie goes away, and then I would say 90% of my committee would say what I say. It's a different shtick, and I'm not sure that's something we're interested in anymore. The shtick we had kind of motivated us.
So you would, if I'm hearing you correctly, you would not be interested in participating in a committee like
Not on a
this?
volunteer basis doing that, because
Okay.
it's not what I came here for. That's not what I've been doing, and I guess I'd probably go in a different direction for my June.
Understood. Yeah, I appreciate the clarity.
No.
Any other clarifying questions for David?
Sorry.
One,
Yeah, go
sorry.
David.
Would you be opposed to, the Schultz company apparently offers services in a kind of a la carte fashion as well if they're not running the whole thing?
Sure.
Would you be opposed to working with them on some logistical things such as paid parking or sponsored advertising?
I would be happy to meet with anyone. I can't tell you if I would walk away and say, just don't want to spend my time and energy doing this thing. I'm not opposed. I'm friends with a lot of people here, I hope. I'm friends with a lot of people on my committee. I've enjoyed our relationships. I'd do anything I could help you with. I could be a consultant to help make a transition. I'd be happy to do that in some form or another. I don't want to throw this thing under the bus, but on the other hand, this is not what I signed up for.
Okay. Any other questions for David?
So what you just said about the a la carte, and speaking to Teresa's concern that commercial versus a community event, and I think, Rob, you mentioned that there's still a need for a lot of volunteers. Is that correct?
Yeah, the only thing I've talked to the air show, Schultz Air Show folks, is about the actual air show component itself. The air
Right.
boss, the announcer, the flight line, the acts.
Yes.
That's it. The whole family festival.
Family
event
festival, right.
Still has to be a local organization,
Yeah.
an activity and a partnership. And even when the air show does it, I sign contracts with an air boss, with an announcer. They're just from cherry picked all over the place, as opposed to one organization that does it all the time, over and over and over again. The same team.
Right.
Yeah.
So it looks to me like, from a staff perspective, the organizational piece of the air show itself, being done by a professional, is very appealing because they do it professionally. But as you said, 50% is the family festival. I mean, that's why people are bringing their little kids out. They're not necessarily watching the acts. They're, watching the guy on the stilts and getting their face painted and playing with the steam stuff. And so that still needs to be done. Do you feel like, from your perspective, is there still an appetite for those volunteers to continue doing what they're doing, separate from whatever the Schultz would cover the more technical pieces of it?
Can't answer for those groups
Yeah.
because it's the Optimist team,
Right.
Kids Zone team, EAA team. You've been generous in terms of providing the $22,000 to each group, and these are all groups that kind of money in a little community group like Kids Zone and like Optimist goes a long way. And
Sure.
they use it very productively. EA sends kids to some really great aviation programs.
Right.
And that was sort of a piece of it. So the volunteer came out, and really enjoyed the day, but they also saw the rest of the year. Now they had $22,000 to do some really cool stuff that they like doing as the Optimist Club or as the Kids Zone people. This changes that in a lot of different ways. I can't
Right.
speak for them. It's so different. There's going to be a lot of angst and anxiety, I can tell you up front, if we go that far. I think the other piece, though, I just want to say this. We vet, using our current air boss, every person that flies in this air show, and he checks them out, knows who they are, gets special cards on them. They have special experience to fly at density altitude of 9,000 feet in the middle of July. And I can tell you, less than 20% of the air show performers in the United States we'd allow to fly at this airport. Jeff knows what I'm talking about. Professional pilot. So that's why we have this air boss, is he knows how to do high altitude things. I'm not saying that Schultz doesn't have these people.
Yeah, and they've done high altitude in other states
Yeah.
over and over and over
Yeah.
again.
But then they're looking at a different, then if they're in charge of hiring the performers, we've changed a different path. I don't know what they're proposing about who's going to be the performers. My air boss, I trust big time. I trust with my liability. I trust with my risk factors, because I've known him for 15 years and he's unbelievably respected in the field. I don't know their air boss. So now I'm just saying, you're putting all kinds of unknowns in here. I can give you an answer that if we start making these melding of new concepts, I don't think we as a committee can be really valuable for you, and certainly be ready in 2026 in a new format. And I think Greg asked the same question.
Okay.
That's as honest as I can say, kind of speaking on sort of on the moment.
Okay, thank you, David. Do we have any other public comment?
Thank you.
Well, I'd just like to make public comment in support of the air show. I think it brings a lot of inspiration to kids that come out, and it's hard to measure that, I know. And it also brings additional nights of stay, nights in hotels in the local area, and dining out. So it supports our community just outside the airport. I think it's a reasonable expenditure of public funds. And if I was putting on an air show, I would certainly consider a professional organization, notwithstanding the experience that we've had in the past with the all-volunteer organization. It would be highly favorable to have the professional organization bid and look at that critically. So thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Any other public comment on this? All right, seeing none, close public comment. Does anybody have any more thoughts on this, or do we have a motion to entertain?
Well, just, in terms of half the money, just having the 24 budget, for the production, it's just, these are rough numbers. 70,000, 75,000 for the event production. The air show flying is 86,000. The family festival is 29,000. And then there's 66,000 that goes to the three groups that have been supporting it. So assuming those three groups are still supporting it through the family festival, but the family festival is only 29,000 against 86,000, just for clarity of acts. That's a big difference than 50-50.
But if you add the 66.
Yes,
If
add
you fold the 66 into the family festival, because those are the
Right.
three groups supporting it, then that's
But they're-
66
they're-
plus 29 is
They're doing-
95,
yes,
right?
You're right. That is part of it, but they're doing other things as well, and how you're going
True.
to allocate that.
Okay.
And, the other thing is having budgets from going back. It used to be, it was like 180, and then it went up to 300, at which point the board balked at that. And we did have them thin back the amount. So it has changed over the time. It hasn't stayed consistently at 250.
Well, neither has our cost of living.
No, I know, but I just want to be clear, because I actually have the numbers.
Yeah,
And we're
I
being
think it's-
told it's consistently 250, and it has not been. It started out at 100,000.
Back before telephones.
I'm old, but not that old, Teresa.
I'm kidding.
Okay, given that the scope of our motion, as Josh clarified, is not to greenlight the air show. It is to decide what we want brought back to us next month. And I think what I'm hearing is we want information about a budget from the current air show committee And do we want also information about a professional management option?
Excluding a family festival.
Not necessarily excluding the current air show committee. So in some capacity to
Well,
do, and
this is number 2, is separate the air show functions from the family festival, because we're still supportive potentially of the family festival. It's just a matter of if we are going to professionally contract for the air show versus the local. Yeah,
which I think we might have agreement that we can't make that decision without seeing numbers. Because
Right.
the professional company might come back and ask for $500,000 just to run the air show.
And
So
that
which
we
would
might not
change things for us.
But, you know, the motion here, yeah, I can agree to all this, so, but I'm not going to make that motion if it's just filling words, if nobody else is going to support this motion.
I will not, for the record.
Do we have a counter motion? I'm begging for a motion here.
You'll
We
not.
don't have a motion yet, but I would say I move to not approve and modify the formation of the air show committee for 2026. And that we follow the 2024 structure at the present moment.
Yeah, and just clarification, so the only item before you that requires a motion is formation of the committee. If there is just consensus to request proposals from whoever in whatever form, that can just be consensus direction or majority, direction to the board. It doesn't technically require direction to staff, excuse me. Doesn't technically require a motion.
Okay, you heard my intention. I revoke the motion.
I support staff coming back next month with proposals from the current air show committee and options to consider from professional, just so we have the financial information and can make a decision.
David, you may be already clear on this, so forgive me if you are. I thought we just heard from
David.
David. What's your last name? I apologize. David Love. We heard from David Love that it's not feasible for him to provide a proposal by August. We might be able to get a budget from him, just extrapolating from previous years, but that a proposal is not feasible.
Yeah, and that's what I had in my proposal to September, because
Yeah.
I knew we needed more time to have these discussions, right?
Okay.
Would you be, can I talk to him? Would you? I don't know either, but here, I'm going to do it. Would you be able to put something together? Would you be able to put a proposal together by September?
Yeah, but I think Rob needs to do the professional folks and see
Okay.
what it looks like, because I don't know
Okay.
what
Okay.
a proposal together for,
Yeah.
in reality.
Okay. Do we have consensus for Rob to come back next month with dollars from the professional and options for what the scope of their involvement could be?
Sure.
Yeah.
I would vote in support of that. Yeah.
Kat, you good?
Yeah, as long as it can be lined out, like what costs are for each
A la carte
service. Yeah,
Yeah,
what
okay.
each service that he provides.
Is that good direction for you?
Absolutely. It's just for the air show piece, right? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that discussion. Let's move on to tab number 6, board committee assignments and ad hoc committee reports.
Lauren's pulling it up now. Any update on the housing components, Lauren?
Our July meeting was postponed to next Monday, so I will have an update next month.
Next is on,
Yep, river revitalization. One of the, I think I mentioned it a little bit last month, one of the key outputs of the River Revitalization Steering Committee was some type of plan referred to as the playbook. It was presented to town council. Council gave some inputs, was really pleased with the overall product. We met earlier this month to refine that, lots of public comment. All of that will be baked in and taken back to town council the end of August, the beginning of September. There's also discussion, the R2SC will likely remain, but it'll go from a Brown Act to an ad hoc committee with effectively the same membership to provide continuing oversight of the 3 catalyst projects that were identified, receiver sites. The entire conversation in aggregate never got to the granularity to really have discussions on the receiver sites. So that subcommittee, and it was an ad hoc subcommittee, would remain, and also discussions about river access. That's it.
Okay, Climate Transformation Alliance.
Rob, I thought your name used to be on here next to this bullet point. What happened?
You're correct, it did.
Yeah, what?
I know you've taken this over, so thank you.
When were we going to talk about that?
I'd set up the boilerplate here for you.
Okay. Thanks. CTA had a quarterly meeting 2 weeks ago. Kate Gordon down in Sacramento came and spoke. It was fantastic. It was a great event. She was a strong speaker, talking about climate action through economic development versus regulation. It's a great topic. Full room of people. I really enjoyed it. I also had the opportunity to meet with Kaylee and kind of just get up to speed on CTA's history and resourcing. And we actually, I think we just met, was it yesterday or Monday? And we also talked about some of the strat planning that's going to happen in the fall. We all share, well, many of us shared some frustrations and some concerns with the direction of CTA. It was really helpful to sit down with Kaylee, and frankly, she had, might surprise you, it surprised me in the moment, she had some similar challenges. I think there's been a miscommunication kind of on resourcing, and I was not aware of, frankly, how little of her time CTA actually gets. And so I think there was a miss where a lot of organizations were looking to her for direction, and she was looking to the partner organizations for direction, and it was kind of just some ships in the night type situation. So we had a great discussion. I'm excited for the strat plan meeting, and I think her and I both had some ideas that we're excited to put forward as a way to kind of narrow down and focus on what it is that the mission of CTA is and how that's going to look next year. So that's the update there.
Okay, thanks. Attendance by board directors.
Right now, we're not planning on having the August meeting. It conflicts with the concert event that's taking place, I believe, the same time frame. I think that date's wrong. But we're also hiring a new staff member into a role here in our noise and annoyance position / safety position. Looking to reschedule the August date, maybe push it into early September or the September date for that. Our next meeting is planned to be the community outreach noise meeting, or part 2 meeting, actually held out in town, actually at the end of the runway at the park down there is one of the ideal locations. So we are working to bring that new staff member on board and then reschedule this meeting and then outreach to the community to get participation. So we still plan on doing it during this summer busy season. We're just juggling dates and staffing right now, so more to follow on that.
Okay, and the TNT TMA?
Again, as we bring on some new staff members, we're going to reassign the board position with TNT TMA to a new staff member. Their updates are on their website. There's a lot of information about transportation systems in the North Lake Tahoe Truckee area, and it's a great resource for everybody to look at to realize how much is actually happening in ground transportation around this North Lake Tahoe region. It's pretty impressive with the opportunities that are out there.
I just happened to see on the Sierra Sun online that the town is going to support van pools, community van pools coming up from Reno to Truckee, and that's exciting.
Yeah, there's a number in place already right now, and there's some opportunities for some additional ones to be funded if your company or organization has the critical mass of only a handful of people that are coming back and forth from Reno. Yep.
Yeah.
I think there's like 7 of them already engaged so far.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments from the board? Do we have any public comment on board committee assignments and ad hoc committee reports? Nope, seeing nothing. Closing comment. And management team reports, general manager's report. Rob?
Just as you see out the window, our apron project is the primary construction activity that's taking place right now. It's taking a lot of staff time, particularly the ops folks, shifting and moving around our operations on the ramp. We're just wrapping up phase one with the contractor. See out the window, we're actually began using it this afternoon. Phase two will begin immediately, and they'll start tearing up the other side of the ramp here shortly. Vince, any other updates you want to add to that as far as construction updates for A2?
No, we're right on schedule with no exceptions. It's really nothing to say. Yeah. And that's good news.
It's been a lot of hard work, both from the contractor, our airport engineers team, and Vince's ops and maintenance team. They've been doing a tremendous effort to keep us on track and make sure our customers are not overly impacted by the inconveniences that are taking place, whether they're aircraft or actual passengers. So thank you. No further updates other than I'll be updating the strategic plan part of my report here with our new strategic plan going forward.
Any board questions on that so far?
Over to legal
Okay.
for any updates.
And no report this month. Thank you.
Okay. Easy.
Aviation and community.
Yep. If you see here, we have a new employee, Court. I got to meet some of you. So we have a new noise community engagement technician. It's a permanent temporary employee, so the same as kind of like a seasonal, if you will. We're also in the process of hiring a full-time safety security noise person. We had a great meeting with our airport planner from Mead and Hunt and staff about getting the steam facility in place. Right now, there's no obstacles. We've met with our airport engineer and some contractors, and hopefully it goes as good as Apron 2, that it'll be on track for this fall. In terms of noise, for the month of June, I would say a fairly typical month of June. Total operations were up about 7%, a little bit higher in piston, a little bit down in jet. Noise comments were down, generally speaking, a little bit month over month for year over year, as well as this time of year we have more after hours operations just based upon the time of year, but it was still 16 less this June than it was last June. Fly Safe has been going good. Next month will be our runway safety action team meeting. They'll be run by Larry Finney, our air traffic control manager. And Mission to Mars is underway. You can scroll to I added an attachment, and it came up last month a little bit, talking about our social media engagement, and I had our bunkhouse consultant pull some stats from both Instagram and Facebook just to kind of see kind of month over month number of engagements. We've been improving. We've gotten a lot more hits by using our consultant, by creating videos and short reels. Far exceeds when it comes to still or just word fonted postings. And anyways, you can go through it, look month by month. Behind this is the Facebook stats that show you, again, kind of month over month, the post that got the highest number of hits, the number of views per post, who became new followers. And our number one hit, actually, stop right there. If you recall, there was the controlled burn over at Waddle Ranch. I think we had something like 78,000 views. The next closest post we've had was 12,000 views. So that one event, far exceeded everything else. Typically, our views are in the couple thousands. Something that's bigger will be, 4,000 to 8,000. And then going on, the next item I was just going to cover is we also have our operations and comments community report for the quarter. Generally speaking, very similar to prior June over June and quarter over quarter. Comments are down a little bit, doing apples to apples, just raw numbers, not getting into the how or the why. And that is everything I was going to cover between AvCom, kind of our social media, and our ops comments. I'll take any questions you have.
Any questions for Jeff? Greg? Mary?
Yes. Go back up, the one that is keep up, 50, keep going up, up.
That's the top.
Oh.
Which one,
Oh,
Mary?
You
then,
want
okay.
social media
The
stuff.
social media
Social
stuff.
media.
Yeah, there's 50 that keep going down. The 50,000 3-second views versus the 29 1-minute views. What does that mean, and how does that help us?
I'm not a social media expert. We do have our consultant. I think that's viewing a video versus
Down.
just a scroll through.
Could you keep going?
Mike?
It's down, and yeah.
Yeah, so are you?
Can you come to the podium?
Yeah, keep going. Next one, keep going. And there, for January, no, let's see.
I think it was just above.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we're-
the 50.
Hey, Mike, can you speak to the microphone for the folks at home?
Sorry. So I think what you're looking at,
Not this one.
if I'm hearing what
It's
you're saying, was
the
you were responding to
70,
short form video, amounts of views,
Walk that over to
and attention. See if I can clarify this.
yeah, it was in the printout, it's the page.
Yeah, I can go back and figure out this out and clarify it. I don't stand in front of the microphone, but I believe what it's looking at is the attention for short form media versus long form media.
Yeah, what is it?
So
How does
for
that
stuff
help
we
us?
post that might be longer storytelling, 1 minute in duration versus a Bronco flying by in a 4-second clip. It's just I think what it is the attention span for short form versus longer form media.
So-
meaning we should post
Meaning?
more
We should post more short?
3 short videos. And so we actually have been, and also when I am at the mic, we've pretty much been balancing a 50-50 on airport-related airplanes, flyovers with community-related events. Actually, it's probably more like a 70-30. So most of the content being pushed out has some community checkbox, whether it's an art show, whether it's a student organization, whether it's the gliders, something of that nature.
Are we also putting out information about, like, the money that we gave to the various fire districts?
We are, and I don't want to put Mike on the
Yeah, yeah.
spot. He gets direction from me, so
Okay.
point at me.
All of that is being pushed out
Yeah.
and generating awareness. And actually, we're in the process of getting like a full marketing plan of how
Yeah.
this rollout's going to look.
What
So we
all
can
that
share
Yeah, and I've been working with Mike about, we had a marketing plan last year of taking the strategic initiatives that have been discussed in this strategic plan, creating a marketing plan by week, by media types, by audience, to get really hitting on all the notes that we're really interested in, to making sure that we have it, we're trying to sequence it with events that are ongoing. So, in September, when we do the noise community outreach meeting off the, into the runway by the river, we'll start a drumbeat to that. So we're trying to match our communications with already planned events, such that we kind of have the natural media to have the conversation about the topics we want. So.
Thanks. That was one question. The other question I had was on your fly quiet comments, where you say 33 aircraft operations occurred during quiet hours, 24 between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. Were these all transient, locals? Were they
A mix of all the
pre-approval?
above, a lot of REM secure flights. This time of year, we get more people. Some locals, typically transients, they are not the jet operators. It's not your large commercial operators, but
we're-
kind of across the board.
But we're reaching out to them,
We do.
and, because we're asking,
Yep.
could you not? I mean, somebody contacted me, it was a scheduled flight going to Sun Valley that went out at 5:30.
I know that noise complaint. Yep.
And, it was scheduled, and if it was scheduled, then would we know about it?
We would
And-
not. So it was scheduled, it was not a net jet, a flex jet,
Oh, it was a
exojet.
personal jet.
It was an owner operator that owned the jet. It was going from here to Sun Valley.
Okay.
And we've reached out to them.
After the fact,
After the fact.
Because we didn't know.
We don't know beforehand. We don't go into FlightAware scrolling to see if there's an IFR departure that's filed, assuming that their information, most of the people that are operating a large $50 million jet are paying for the money, so you don't even see them.
Yeah.
We'll see them after the fact. via vector, but we're not going to see, your $50 million jet as an owner-operator. You are paying for all the services to have all your information hidden, and then we only see it because we get it via vector, however they do it for billing purposes.
But after the fact,
After the
we
fact.
still can contact them
We
and
do.
say,
Yep.
please consider.
We do. I reached out to 2 pilots this month as well. I would just point, it's not perfect.
No.
But it's 16 less than it was last June.
Uh-huh.
So that's an improvement.
Because, I think a
That's
lot of pilots.
not perfect,
and-
but would,
Yeah, a lot of pilots, a lot of passengers would be respectful if they,
Right.
know about it. So if
the
that-
pilot I talked to that had an early morning departure, I talked with him and his partner. It was a partnership aircraft. They were unaware of it, sent them the website, had a good conversation, and encouraged them to join the Fly Safe program because they fly to the Bay Area. So
you.
tried to turn it into a positive event.
Appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Is that it? Any other questions for?
Quick one. David?
Yeah, go.
Just a question on CAL FIRE's helis that are over on the northwest end. Are you aware of their nighttime operations? Like, do they tell you what their
Yes, no. So I had it in the AVCON report. We met with all the helicopter operators on airfield last week. To the firefighting. There's a tour. There's a couple local operators that just own helicopters and CareFlight to talk about best procedures. Right now, we have a draft.
Yeah.
We've not had something in the past for noise abatement procedures for helicopters. So we have something draft.
It's a tough one.
Specifically for them,
Yeah.
they respond. I think it's a 30-minute call out.
Yeah.
And what we have communicated to them, and actually it'd be interesting what I said, per the federal aviation regulations, if it's fire, military, law enforcement, they can fly wherever they want, whenever they want. What we have told them, though, is if you're responding to a fire, go in the most direct means possible. They do know of the hot spots where we get regular noise complaints. When they're depositioning back and it's a non-emergency state, they're coming back to not do a rapid refuel and get back to the fire. We talked about then we would ask them to use those procedures. Yeah. On occasion, they will do training at nighttime.
Yeah.
The CAL FIRE helicopter specifically actually flies with night vision goggles. And so I think there's 10 helicopters in the state certified to do that. So on occasion, they will fly. What we asked is they let us know, and that they fly as early in the dark window as possible, and that when they do fly, to not fly over populated areas.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, to be clear, like really not a complaint, more just curiosity, because
Right.
like I could hear, I'm presuming them last night at midnight, right? And I can hear them when they're on the ground.
Yeah.
And I was just curious if that was scheduled training, where they're responding to a specific incident.
They fly a lot more than most people realize. So when there's a fire, if there is a wildfire in California, typically an air asset is immediately dispatched regardless of size, shape, or form.
Yeah.
A bulldozer is dispatched, often two ground crews and like 4 engines and a water tender, automatically, no matter what. And so they are dispatched regularly, a lot more than most people realize.
Yeah, I guess their rate of dispatch is not surprising for me, but like I get asked about it, right?
Oh, really?
And
Yeah,
so I just want to be able to tell
Let
people.
everyone know they're lucky to have them here.
Yeah, and I do. And like people don't like getting woken up by a helicopter at midnight, right? So, yeah, I was just curious if we had any.
We don't get
scheduled trainings from them. You can't predict when they're going to dispatch. I'm not asking for that.
Yeah.
But if we had any info on their scheduled trainings,
That's actually a good point, that if we have some more rights, we could put something, we could have something posted on social media with a little bit of story behind it. Like,
something
hey,
akin to the "It's Okay" Truckee with the prescribed burn. Like, that's awesome.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So cool. Thank you.
Yep.
Do we have any public comment on the management team reports? Seeing none, future agenda priorities and meeting management.
Just the one direction from today's meeting with regard to the air show, and bringing back a proposal that we can put together related to a professionally managed air show and how that would integrate with the existing air show committee.
Okay. And do we have any public comment on that? We don't have any public comment on that. Any board comments on that?
And you'll have the printed strategic plan for us next meeting.
Yes, we'll send that off to our marketing team to make it look great and update all the commas and fonts that are in there.
I want a black and white photo.
And a black and white photo for Greg, that's right.
Colored.
Yes.
I'm colored.
We'll update the artistic part of it and have that ready next
You
month.
stand
yes.
out.
All right, do we have any staff or board member conference attendance reports?
None from staff.
Nothing from the board, okay.
I can make one comment. Just tonight is Art at the Airport. So when you go out, go take a look. There's 8 artists here this evening. They have some charcuterie boards and some drinks out. So go meet the artists.
Wow, they're out there instead of in here?
I've seen Kelly, who runs it, keeps poking her head in the door looking for us.
Awesome. Any board member announcements? No board member announcements. Okay, our next regularly scheduled meeting is August 27th, 4:30 p.m. in this room. And happy birthday again to Kat. Reminder that the cake is over there. And I hope you have a wonderful birthday tomorrow.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? No? Okay, all in favor? Thanks, everybody.